Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our live stream Q&A about vaccination and King's College, and thank you for your patience. We start with a land acknowledgement. The University of King's College is situated on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people in Mi'kma'ki at Chibuktuk, which means Great Harbor, otherwise known as Halifax. And we live on these lands under the treaties of peace and friendship made centuries ago by the Mi'kmaq and the British Crown. And those treaties embody the principles of peaceful coexistence and mutual respect that we learn from and that we follow from the Mi'kmaq. I'd also like to acknowledge all of the Indigenous people across Canada and really from wherever you're located, and acknowledge their unceded and traditional territories. And I'd also like to acknowledge the trauma and pain those communities are suffering as they grieve for their children found on unmarked graves on the property of residential schools. So today's live stream will focus on vaccination and its importance to the upcoming school year, academic year here at King's. And I'm President Bill Lahey, President of the University of King's College. And I am thrilled to say that I'm joined today for this Q&A by Nick Harris, the President of the King's Student Union. Nick, over to you.
Harris. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm president of the King's Students Union. I'm a fourth-year student here at King's, and I study political science and law, justice, and society. The union here at King's does a lot of things for students like you, whether it be our fully run student cafe or a bar where students can chillax after a long day at classes. So I have to remind everyone today, so after this live stream, please make sure to check out the King's Students Union Instagram page at KS Union, or follow the University of King's College at UKC Halifax. Also, check out ukings.ca/vaccinations for more details following this Q&A. So Bill, let's kick this off. I got a question for you. What does it mean, and why is it important to get vaccinated if you can?
Well, vaccination is the key thing that's going to allow us to be back together again as a community in the coming year. And so, in large measure, we're moving from a time when we relied upon being apart and separate from each other in order to be safe. But it's exciting that with vaccines, we can now move to a time and a place where we're keeping each other safe by being vaccinated, which, in addition to keeping us safe, allows us to actually be together. And so it's first and foremost about safety, but it's also about something that's, in my mind, even deeper than that. King's is a community where we haven't only just started caring about each other. That's been what has defined King's through its history, the way we care for each other, the way we care about each other as much as we care for ourselves. And in the context of the time that we're in, one of the main things that you can do to show your care and concern for each other as students of King's and members of the King's community is to get vaccinated. And the last thing I want to say that makes it so important, to enjoy being together in the coming year after almost 18 months or more when we really haven't been able to be together with those we love and care for. We have to be able to trust each other. And one of the main ways we can all be confident that we can trust one another in the coming year is to know that if not all of us, then almost all of us have been fully vaccinated. So those are some of the things that immediately come to mind, Nick. What does vaccination and getting vaccinated mean to you, Nick? I'm not sure
Thanks,
Nick
Bill.
can hear us.
So, I was thinking hard about this question before we hopped on here, and when I think about vaccination, what I really think about is returning to the community we love. So you really put it best. At the heart of Kings is a community. And when I think of vaccinations, I think of being able to celebrate that community again, whether it's grabbing a drink in the wardroom or engaging in a fiery debate at your fit tutorial. Whether it's going to cheer on our student athletes, or whether it's just reading a book in the quad. You know, vaccinations means the opportunity to make memories again with the community that you love. And it's an opportunity to celebrate one each other again. And you know what? I'm just so excited for this return back to normal. So, Bill, what resources are available then to students who are looking to get vaccinated?
Well, in terms of Nova Scotia resources on the public health website, but we've taken steps to make sure that you can get all the Nova Scotia information easily and in a readily available form on the King's website. And so I think Chelsea is going to be putting in, or Courtney is going to be putting into the chat, the specific web address for that information on the King's website. And I'm sure if you just went to the website and typed in vaccination or vaccine, you'd also find it. But of course, today we're talking to people all over the country and, for all I know, beyond the country. And every jurisdiction is a little different. That's something we've certainly learned through this pandemic. So if you're getting vaccinated or you want to get vaccinated before you come to Nova Scotia, and I encourage you to do that, check out the public health websites in your jurisdiction for all the resources and the information that you need. So Nick, let's make this a little bit more personal. Tell us about your vaccination story.
Oh, where to begin? So, Bill, like many, I'm an out-of-province student. So this summer, I got to spend some time back in Ontario, and that's where I got vaccinated. So in May, I had the opportunity to grab a Pfizer vaccine, and I took it the first opportunity that I could. I didn't really feel side effects with my first one. It was all good. But what I really felt was the relief and anxiety rush out of my body in recognizing that I felt a little bit more safer. And it was such an amazing feeling. And I remember looking back, and it felt like a weight was off my shoulder. Fast forward 28 days later, and I had the opportunity then to get another vaccine. But they didn't have Pfizer available again. And as public health has been saying, the best vaccine is the one that you can get. So I switched over and I got my second dose of Moderna. I felt a little bit of a headache the following day. But again, the relief that I felt in recognizing that no longer I might not be able to transmit it to individuals, or that I might be able to keep my community safe, was 100% worth it. And I would do it again if I could. So then, Bill, now that I'm fully vaccinated, the question is, should I continue to get tested when I return to Halifax?
Well, before I answer that, I want to say how remarkably like your vaccination story, my vaccination story was. Exactly the same. Pfizer the first time, Moderna the second time. And I'm happy to say my second dose is 2 weeks ago and 2 days from today. So Nova Scotia has been remarkably successful in controlling the pandemic, remarkably so, including bringing the recent third wave under control amazingly quickly. And one of the things that's made Nova Scotia so successful is the enthusiasm with which Nova Scotians, including university students in Nova Scotia, answered the call of our Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Robert Strang, to get tested and to get tested frequently. And testing is readily available in Nova Scotia. And there are these moving images of literally thousands on a daily basis in recent months to get tested. And the key of this is that it allows infections, transmissions to be identified very, very quickly, so they can be controlled very, very quickly. And there's going to be a vaccination site on campus at the Dalhousie part of our campus, the campus we share with Dalhousie. And so one of the things, in addition to encouraging you to get vaccinated, we're going to be encouraging you to get tested frequently, and that includes our faculty and staff, and I'll be getting tested frequently as well. So vaccination, frequent testing, and the third key element of our plan is that whenever we're feeling not quite right, we have any of the symptoms, we're not going to go to class, we're not going to go to the dining hall, we're not going to mix with other members of the community until we can have that test taken. And these are rapid result tests, which allow us to know almost always that we're feeling poorly, not because of COVID, but for some other reason. But if it is COVID, that will allow us to act quickly. Nick, any tips for new or returning students relative to what we're talking about, vaccination, but any other tips or hints for new or returning students?
Of course. So I'm going to split this up. I want to talk first to out-of-province students and international students, and then I want to speak directly to the entire community, including Nova Scotia students. So folks, depending on your jurisdiction, once you receive your vaccination, you should get a proof of vaccination form. Mine's from Ontario. It includes my vaccine when I got it and what dose it includes. Now, before you enter Nova Scotia, it is required that you go online to the provincial website and provide, number one, proof of vaccination. And it depends how long you have to quarantine based on where you are in that vaccination stage. So 2 doses, fully vaccinated individuals don't have to quarantine when they arrive here. 1 dose of vaccination has to quarantine for 7 days, and if you're not vaccinated at all, you have to quarantine for the full 14 days. I just want to make sure students September. Some other tips. Nova Scotia is a leader when it comes to the rapid test. I've been tested in Ontario, and it has taken me up to a week, sometimes 2, to be able to get to an available testing site. Now, in Halifax, I actually live like 30 steps from the Halifax Public Library, where you can walk in and you can walk out and have your test results within 45 minutes of arriving at that site. It's truly something remarkable. So my first tip here, Bill, is to make sure that students find their closest testing site, whether it's on campus or close to their home, so that they have a reliable place to go to if they have the sniffles or if they're not feeling good one day. And then I guess my second tip for everyone is really just to take care of yourself in this community. We've been through a really, really tough year. And for things to go back to normal, it's going to take all of us to come together as a community and to get vaccinated. So make your vaccination plan. Register in your local jurisdiction, and let's get vaccinated, folks. Once we're vaccinated, once we return to school in September, Bill, here's my question for you. Are you excited to see students and faculty back on campus?
I can't say how excited I'm going to be. I'm very proud of how we responded as a community to all the challenges of the past year, and how we did so much together that I'm not so sure we believed we were capable of doing it before we did it. But we did it separate and apart from each other. And there are so many things that are among my favorite things about being the president of King's, and also this is my living room at King's, that we haven't been able to do for the past year. So sharing meals together in Prince Hall, watching plays together in what we call the pit. I love the King's College Blue Devils as they compete against other universities. Sharing a drink in the wardroom, or listening to great music in the wardroom. I really miss the way foundation year program tutorials every now and then happen here in my living room. We weren't able to do that last year, and I'm really looking forward to doing that again this year. And Nick, just more generally, this community is a community that is all about the calling to live together in community and to learn together in community. And we did our very best to make sure that that continued to be true last year, but it was so constrained. And this year, as you say, if we all get vaccinated, we're going to be able to do that again together physically. I couldn't be more excited for it. What are you looking forward to in the fall, more specifically?
Mhm. So I was thinking about this question today, and one thing that I think I've really missed over the last year and a half is seeing folks' smiles in person.
Right.
When one of my favorite things is when you're in the wardroom and you're dancing and you look around and everyone's smiling and having an amazing time. Whether it's that or when you're learning and you can see that look of appreciation on people. I think we've missed so much of that communication, given the mask posture in the last year and a half. And I'm really excited to see smiles brought back to campus.
That's great. We might have occasions in the coming year where we still might encourage or even require people to wear masks. But we're going to be seeing smiles much more often in the coming year than we were able to in the past. That's a beautiful way to sum everything up. So we're now moving into our Q&A segment, and you can write your questions in the comment section. And in the meantime, we have some previously submitted questions that our social media coordinator, Chelsea Walsh, will now ask.
Thank you. And I will say, I feel so inspired already by this conversation. I can't wait to see the excitement on campus and all the liveliness. So these questions that I'm about to ask are from third-year student, Livy Lyle. You may recognize, or you may remember Livy from our previous Instagram Live. We have done those in the past, so be sure to follow us on Instagram to stay tuned for future live streams and content. So the first question is for you, President Lahey. Can students from out of province be vaccinated in Nova Scotia?
Yes. Our public health authorities have been very clear about this. But I do want to encourage you, if you are able, to get vaccinated before you come to Nova Scotia, because it's very, very likely that if you're fully vaccinated, you're going to avoid any quarantine requirements or some of the things that can impede your joining the community and be possibly inconvenient and difficult. So please do get vaccinated before you come if you can. But if you're not able to, Nova Scotia's goal is to ensure that everyone in Nova Scotia has easy access to vaccines.
Nick, I have a question for you. Will there be certain areas off limits to students who are not vaccinated? For example, the galley or the gym?
Awesome. Thanks, Chelsea. So first of all, I want to recognize that there are legitimate reasons why folks might not get vaccinated, be it religious reasons or medical reasons. And we want to ensure that folks also feel like Kings is their home as well. So no, there aren't spaces on campus that students will be limited in that capacity. But I do want to ensure everyone that as we're having this live stream today, our teams are hard at work to develop safety plans that align with the Occupational Health and Safety Committee's recommendations, as well as the province of Nova Scotia's higher education safety plan as well. So we're hard at work to make it safe for all students to return to campus.
Excellent. And for any student watching out there, please check out our new URL on our page that President Lahey had mentioned earlier. It's ukings.ca/vaccinations. And we also have a COVID-19 section on our website that you can check out for detailed information. Our next question, are all King's students required to get vaccinated to enter campus?
With some qualification, the answer is no. And just picking up on Nick's point that we acknowledge and recognize that some people can't get vaccinated, it's all the more important that those of us who can get vaccinated so we can ensure the safety of those who aren't able to get vaccinated. Instead of requiring people to get vaccinated, we are relying on the people of the King's community to want to be vaccinated so that they can care not just for themselves but for others, and so that we can enjoy this great togetherness, which, as Nick said earlier, results in lots of smiles on faces. And I think we'll achieve a better level of vaccination by simply trusting people and relying on them to do the right thing, the caring thing, the loving thing, rather than requiring them to get vaccinated. or trying to impose some kind of requirement. The one exception is that if you're going to be living in a double room, sharing it with another student, then we're required by our own responsibilities and public health requirements